Now, imagine this. A rainbow. And at the end of this rainbow, there's a pot of gold. Despite your best efforts, you're always just out of reach, never capable of catching up to the reward at the end. As well, you're competing with others for this metaphorical reward. This long-time dream of yours has been sought out by others for much longer. Some have already made more progress towards it, while others are at the same stage as you are. This feeling, this is what it feels like to be a photographer in 2024. Funny, I've been a professional photographer for 2 years now, and that excludes the creative dream phase to it's not just a phase, mom phase, to the initiating that creative dream phase till now. And back then, photography just seemed so grandiose, between learning about, the long exposure days to the film days to coming this new age of introducing technology as DSLR and now mirrorless cameras. Yeah, it just seemed like there's this vast opportunity of knowledge to learn from. Until now. Hi, my name's Brandon Poirier, and no, I'm not related to that one Poirier you may know. The Cornwall SDG area tends to have a lot of people with the Poirier surname. For example, I think there's Poirier Innovation, Poirier Furniture, Poirier and Arthur Law Firm, and now myself, Poirier Photography, this little piece of this Poirier connected business universe, Next up will be, Poirier Circus, because why not? Cornwall doesn't have a circus. So despite where exactly the photography, or more in case the creative digital industry is heading towards, I've come to the realization that over the last 2 years I've been very built up on the fact of how overwhelming this industry can be. And knowing that which direction I would like to go in, I really have to start somewhere of just trying to place my flag in this creative space. And I'll be honest, I'm really starting to see the progress of where things are going for myself and for my business. Although, as a photographer, I still have a long way to go before I can get to a place where I'm comfortable being at. For those of you who are interested in photography, or like the story of a small kid with a big dream, or just like to watch YouTube videos in the background, welcome to my channel and my first ever YouTube video. With this channel, I have really one simple goal in mind, and that's just to captivate the attention of one individual, a member of my community. I really want to utilize this channel to inform myself and you guys about this changing industry, to explore different topics about the creative digital industry, and just to have a conversation. And as well, I want to utilize this channel to hold myself accountable for goals and ambitions I have in mind. Going back to the rainbow analogy that I made earlier in this video, it really felt like I wasn't going anywhere. almost like that cartoonish run that Looney Tunes characters would do when we were watching Saturday morning cartoons as kids. I've taken the last little bit to reset my goals and ambitions that I had as a photographer. I've actually been really productive the last few months and feel like I'm on the right track for my business. And I've realized throughout this journey that I needed somewhere to put my thoughts, hence why I'm making this video and this YouTube channel. Holding myself accountable will theoretically keep me on the right track. That's how it works, right? Anyways, being a creative and trying to make a livable wage off of that is quite an interesting process. If I go back to when I was studying photography back in college, I was in an apartment with 4 roommates. Everyone was scrambling to study and cram as much as they could for their final exam, as I'm in the living room of our apartment doing arts and crafts for my final project. It feels very surreal that the photos I take generate my income in a weird way. Growing up, I've always been inspired and encouraged to utilize my creative side. My mother is an artist. She's filled our home with a bunch of canvas paintings and these ceramic paints that she's done over the last few years. And my brother is a versatile music player who can play pretty much anything. And I've actually tried to learn these form of arts. The issue is, I'm not really good at them. Unfortunately, my creative mind never really had the opportunity to learn these tools to find a way to express my feelings and my thoughts. Although, if you ask me to take a photo, I can do that quite well actually. And if you have even trusted me to shoot the most important day of their lives, capturing the most important pivotal days of someone's life is probably the most stressful thing you'll ever do as a photographer. There's no redos, there's no second tries. For most part, it's a one shot takes all. While trying to remain professional, have a key eye for details, having creative outlook on the photos, and just being myself, man, what an assignment that was my first ever wedding. Tyler and Lily Groom, my first ever wedding clients, entrusted me to shoot their wedding back in June of 2023, all the way out in Berwick, Ontario. And I can still recall all the mistakes I made during my first wedding. But oddly enough, when I look back upon it, I look at it fondly. It was really the first moment where I realized this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And after their wedding, I just had another wedding booked and then another, and the ball started rolling to a point where every wedding that I started doing, I started to take all the things that I've learned from the previous one and apply it for the next one. And it's funny, now looking back in the last few years, it just feels like I have actually built a solid foundation between a portfolio, a website, I found my niche, I've created a workflow that makes sense for me. It just truly feels like I've come to a point in which I can start expanding. I'm really now able to see all the work that I've put into my business and really start to see that pay off. But there's more work to be done. Over the next several months, I'll be really discussing the good, the bad, and the ugly about this ever-changing industry. Between the use of AI, to the shady policies of our favorite creative suites, to just this oversaturation of a market, it just seems like photography is dead. Or at least that's what many people think, the death of photography. But to be honest, this is not the first time that we had a major change in the industry. I mean, back in the early 2000s when we switched from 35mm film to DSLRs, it just seems like this big uproar. You can't go buying technology in photography, it's going to ruin it. And it's the same type of conversation we're having now. Even the switch from DSLR to mirrorless created this uproar back in the 2010s. And to be honest, I don't really think photography is dead. I don't think any of the factors I listed beforehand will kill off photography. It's just going to change it. For those of you who have followed my journey all the way here, I want to thank you for your support. Launching any kind of project is never easy. No one wakes up one day and decides to start a business. It takes time, patience, some tears, and a whole lot of work. As your friendly neighborhood photographer, I ask one thing. Will you let me take your photo?